Now I'd like to ask Tamura-san to make a comment to the ambassador's speech.
Thank you, Tanabe-san. My name is Tamura, consulting fellow for the RIETI. I'm going to serve as the commentator for this very important seminar. I have been listening carefully the presentation by Ambassador Paquet. To be honest, I mean, his presentation has a multifaceted. It's very difficult for any commentator, not only me, I guess, to make a comment on such a very kind of complex and enriched presentation, to be honest. And actually, I didn't mean to invite him to make reference to the Horizon Europe. But my comment is going to be focused on the Horizon Europe, particularly what it is, and also what is the implication of the Horizon Europe to Japanese innovation policy, how we should be engaged in. Of course, you know, the ambassador is a kind of a very strong advocate of associating Japan to this project. Association is whether this is the best form or not in terms of Japan's engagement in this project is something we have to discuss. But anyway, looking at the importance of this important project, I would like to focus myself on this project. Then I would like to give the floor to the audience to make, I guess, more the comment or the question on the more, I guess, interesting topics such as Green Deal and economic security and the resilience of supply chain. I'm not going to touch upon the detail of Horizon Europe per se because it has been already explained the great deal by the Ambassador Paquet. But I just can explain briefly that this Horizon Europe is a very important project, important European innovation policy framework. Whose range is from the 22 to 27. And of course, it has been constantly developing itself, but it's based upon the primarily 5 missions ranging from the cancer, the climate change, the ocean, smart city, and the food. In order to in terms of in the process of realizing that these missions, it is intended that the European long-term goals such as the EU Green Deal, digital fit for the digital, the European fit for the digital age, and the new European Bauhaus, this kind of European the long-term goal are going to be realized going through by implementing this Horizon Europe. But of course, obviously, as the Ambassador Paquet hinted, that this very important project is constantly developing and updating itself. So it's very difficult to explain the snapshot of this very important project. But anyway, all I can say is that this is a very important project, not only for Europe, but also the entire globe, particularly in terms of the innovation policy. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I guess the other innovation policy implementers are concerned, one of the most important, remarkable trait of the Horizon Europe is so-called the mission-oriented innovation policy, the so-called MOI. This MOI, direction of MOI, is one of the most remarkable the ingredient of this Horizon Europe. Obviously, not only the Horizon Europe, but also this MOI per se has been kind of in the context of the global innovation policy, has been considered as one of the most important concepts. So what does this mean? What MOI mean is that the project is not going to be carried out for the sake of the technology development, but it's going to be, it should be carried out rather for the sake of the transforming the society, so-called the idea of the transformative innovation. So this concept has been on purpose highlighted and also heavily reflected in the Horizon Europe. This is one of the important and remarkable characteristics of Horizon Europe. And obviously, this trend has been originated from the fact that our global society has been facing lots of social problems, ranging from the global warming to the infectious diseases, including COVID, to digital, so-called DX, and others. The societal problem has been the getting the enormous, and so that we have to gather our wisdom together and to deal with. So in that process, the innovation, the policy, the community has been coming up with the idea of the MOI. And obviously, it's based upon the conception that since that there is no market for the technology, which is a necessity to solve this societal problem, what we need is the stronger intervention by the government. Just letting every innovation to the private sector is not going to produce the necessary the technology or innovation to give a solution to this societal problem. In that context, it has been highlighted that the stronger intervention, the stronger role to be played by the government has been highlighted. And so this Horizon Europe has been fully digesting the philosophical direction. So this is one of the important the characteristics of the Horizon Europe, as I highlighted. And also I can also refer you to the fact that this Horizon Europe has been based upon the idea of so-called MLP, so-called multi-level perspective, which is also another very important concept in the international, global innovation policy setting, which means that in order to transform the society, technology is not enough. We have to have a reformation of the regime per se. So this is a very important idea, so-called MLP, and it has been also heavily reflected in the horizontal Europe. I guess since EU has been very famous for its strengths in the strengths and excellence in the field of rulemaking and regulatory strategy, I guess what I highlighted as a trait of the Horizon Europe has been kind of very strong demonstration of strengths of the European community, I suppose. As I said, in terms of the brand new innovation policy philosophy such as MOI, EU seems to be the leading player. Of course, the mission-oriented per se is not really new to any of us. However, in the context of the modern innovation policy, MOI, the direction of MOI and the concept of MOI has been quite remarkably reflected in the Horizon Europe, but it's based upon the many discussions demonstrated in the many input, such as the Lamy Committee in the 2017 and the Matskat, the report in 1918. And also, besides the European Union, OECD as well has been nowadays highlighting the idea of so-called MOI. As many of you know, the recent output, such as the STI Outlook 2023, and also the ongoing program, so-called the S&D Policy 2025, these OECD's project has been heavily influenced by the concept of MOI as well. Anyway, one of the important message from the Ambassador Paquet today is to suggesting that Japan should be further engaged in the Horizon Europe, notably participating as an associate member or something like that. of course, you know, in terms of the form of a participation or engagement, such as being associating member, is something we may have to carefully consider. But at least it seems to me that Japan is maybe Japan is better positioned in associating engaging ourselves further into what's going on in Europe in the innovation policy. Because Japan's innovation policy also has been fully digesting the idea of MOI, looking at the six science, technology, and innovation basic plan. It obviously is digesting the idea of MOI and the social transformation, knowledge convergence, and also importance of the role of government. Therefore, I guess that Japan's innovation policy is in the very kind of on the same level as the European innovation policy in terms of the degree of digestion of the MOI. However, of course, you know, we may have to learn more from what's going on in the Horizon Europe, such as the further inclusiveness, and also the kind of the degree of backcasting from the societal issues. These kind of aspect may be something we should further learn from European innovation policy. Anyway, how to engage in that is something we may have to learn, we may have to discuss. But anyway, in order for Japan to be associated with Horizon Europe or engaged in the European innovation policy, it should be discussed and thought in the kind of holistic manner in the overall bilateral relationship between Japan and Europe, particularly given the fact that we are facing many common agendas, common issues ranging from societal to the geopolitical. And we also have lots of common projects other than innovation, such as the updating of European EU-Japan EPA, and also data privacy regime, how to continue to develop that. So we have a lot of other policies. So in terms of, in the context of holistic overall bilateral relationship between Japan and Europe, maybe this issue should be also discussed and well thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tamura-san, for your wide-covered issues and points. Ambassador, could you make any response to Tamura-san's comment?
Very impressive, Tamura-san. Thank you very much. Maybe just a couple of comments. I mean, firstly, I think indeed my main point of today is to say, is to echo, because I'm just a diplomat, is to echo what leaders told us, which is that we want to team up, Japan and Europe. And we want to team up in very tangible areas. And one key set of areas is the de-risking of our supply chains. And my argument here is that to do that, there will be many forms of engagement. We need industry also to engage, obviously. We need to find platforms for European industries and Japanese players to engage into a dialogue. I mean, the European Center at Tanabe-san is obviously one platform for that. The Business Roundtable is another one. In the summit conclusions, we had hydrogen well identified, where leaders ask that we put in place an industrial forum for the European industry, hydrogen, on hydrogen, there are a number of associations at EU level and industries which I think would be keen to engage with Japan. So all that we need to do. But one very specific strategic element of the de-risking is technology. And so my main argument is that Japan and Europe need to do more technology development together. That's what is really at stake. And one key way of doing that, and I think the most effective way of doing that, is to use a program like Horizon Europe. There is no equivalent at national level in Europe, and therefore it's there and available. We have, over the last 10 years, gone through the motion of finding ways to do it in a light manner, joint calls, for example. And at the end of the day, this has proven to be very very limited in terms of impact. We have very, very few projects. And so this is why my argument is to say that if we want to do research together, and if we think that Horizon Europe is a good platform for that, then the most impactful way is association. Many questions come with it, as I said earlier on, and they are all important questions. And if Japan doesn't find good replies to these questions, then it maybe will not happen. But that is, I think, in terms of pure factual analysis, a very powerful way to team up in technological development. Again, there's no request from the European Union, it's an offer from the European Union to use that instrument to work together. Short of that, we will, of course, continue to also engage in cooperation on technology. That's very important and will no doubt continue. Tamara, you mentioned mission-oriented innovation. Thank you for that. I mean, we have only a couple of minutes left, Tanabe-san. If you allow me, I will finish with that, because I completely agree with you that this is a particularly important way of looking at research and innovation, trying to develop a framework where research and innovation from the outset is connected to the delivery in society or in the economy. That you don't just look at research and innovation and deploy it, but you conceive the deployment of your research and innovation having in mind the role the technology or the knowledge, it's not only technology, it's also knowledge, which research and innovation can provide for societal and economic transformation. And from that point of view, of course, as a bureaucrat, I will agree with you that the state is particularly well placed in doing that. Private actors and local government as well. And this is what is very much behind the 5 missions under Horizon Europe in cancer, cities, climate, oceans, and soil, is to, the way we've done it, and I will take the cities mission to illustrate it in a few sentences. 2 years ago, we did a call, and we were saying essentially, are there cities in Europe which have the ambition to become climate neutral by 2030? Not by 2050, by 2030. And if so, do you want to join this mission? We will make available the outcome of research. We will develop research with you to help you. We will also ensure that we can bring in other funding instruments and regulation, and we will team up to make it happen in your city. We had more than 360 cities which came there and told us, yes, we want to be part of that. Yes, we can be climate neutral by 2030 with a 20% offsetting, just to be credible. And we have selected 100 cities. So we are now working with these 100 cities, and this is not about research only. It's about using results from research, deciding on new research, but connecting it in a process where you have citizens around the table, we have the industries in that city around the table, we of course have the local administration which is running it, but also regional administration, national instruments, banks, bringing it together to deploy the technologies, but go, as you said rightly, beyond the technology. Technology will get us to maybe 60, 70% of the necessary transformation. The rest is us. As citizens, as inhabitants of a city, we will need also to do that change. And this is what a mission-oriented innovation platform can allow to do. Highly complex. It's as much public policy as it is research and innovation. But this is at the intersection of the two that we believe that impact can be really great. So we are, in fact, experimenting. To be very clear, these missions are a big-scale experiment, but if successful, I think it will really shape research and innovation in Europe as we move forward.
Although time is running, but I want to pick up a question from the audience. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the 49 European partnership of Horizon program. Are there any areas of Japan-EU cooperation that you are particularly interested in? Would these be batteries, data security, or AI, robotics? I'm interested in clean steel. What kind of areas are you interested in to promote EU-Japan partnership?
Yes, I mean, you had the list on one of the slides.
49.
Yeah, here they are. Yeah. Here they were. No, back. Here you go.
This is it.
Yeah, we have these 49 European partnerships. I mean, honestly, it's not so much for the European ambassador to say which ones are the relevant ones for Japan and Europe. I mean, I can tell you from from my experience in Brussels, where I think there are commonalities. But I think that this is really the gist of it. When you look at that list, and if you are a Japanese industrial actor, or if you are a policymaker or an administrator, this is really where you can look at and wonder, shouldn't we work with Europe on these areas? And why don't we? And these partnerships are not accessible per se to third countries. You need to be associated to the program to be part of these partnerships. So association is really also about these 49 partnerships. And to answer to your question, Tanabe-san, I don't know, the Innovative Health Initiative is making a major difference to getting new drugs and vaccines out in Europe. And you maybe remember that the vaccine which got us out of the pandemic is a European vaccine. Unfortunately, we call it Pfizer, but the research, the science, is European with BioNTech. Key digital technologies, the first one under Cluster 4, in fact, is going to be renamed the CHIPS Joint Undertaking. And this is the European CHIPS Act. And if I look at Rapidus and the work Rapidus does with IMEC, this is an obvious area where common work, I hope, will take place. If I take clean hydrogen, clean aviation, clean steel, these are industries where Japan and Europe need to get the technology out to decarbonize, and on our own, this will be highly challenging. Batteries is a particularly good example as well, where Japan is very strong on battery technology, where Japan is very ambitious also. Toyota just made this amazing announcement of the 1200 10-minute solid-state battery by 2027. This would be the game changer in the industry. So batteries, including recycling, including CO2 footprint of batteries, a lot is happening in that partnership, which would be interesting for Japanese players, but would be interesting for us to have you on board as well. Let me maybe just add here one last thought on association. Seen from the point of view of Japan, what you are connecting to is partnerships where you have already 20 or 30 players. Consortia, where you already have 8, 10, 12 players. You become the 12th or 13th player. You become the 45th partner in the partnership. But you benefit from it all. So the leverage for you is amazing. So the question is, why are we offering that as Europeans? We're offering it because we believe that you add key value by your difference. And that in itself is the heart of European research. Connecting these diversity of scientific and innovation cultures, we all benefit from it. You are like-minded, it makes sense that you're part of it. That's really essentially the concept at the heart of it. Again, technically super complicated, but in essence and politically, I find it honestly rather straightforward.
Thank you, Ambassador. One final point. Tamura-san has touched upon EPA, Economic Partnership Agreement. I understand follow-up negotiation on data transfer issues are going on. Ambassador, what are you expecting from this EPA?
The EPA is, of course, a spectacular development, which is very young. It was agreed in 2018. It just essentially came into force at the time of the pandemic in addition. But despite that, you can see the trade flows in value growing 20% already since it entered into force. This is the biggest integrated market in the world, Japan and the European Union. So it's an amazing framework. It's one which operates, in fact, super smoothly. So it's happening. You're all making great use of it. Please continue. In fact, the EPA allows already, by this integration, by the common standards which are being put in place, allows a lot of that industry-to-industry supply chain work to take place under the EPA. It's there to use. A few elements of where work can progress, public procurement, for example, or in phytosanitary issues, there are still a few open questions, but frankly, it's a remarkably powerful framework under which Japanese and European actors are really making great use of, and I can only encourage all of you to know the EPA and to make good use of these opportunities.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I'm sorry time has been already passed. Today we had a very good story telling about the state of EU-Japan partnership and further potentials of EU-Japan partnership. I'd like to thank Ambassador Paquet for very thoughtful, positive message. And Tamura-san, thank you very much for your thoughtful comments. Today, the BBL has been adjourned. Thank you very much for joining.
ありがとう。